All right, let's talk about flying. We've all been there, right? You're packed into this giant metal tube, soaring through the clouds. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's actually going on around you? Because trust me, there is so much more to your next flight than just getting from A to B. And that quote just nails it, doesn't it? Sometimes the whole thing feels like a chaotic, high-flying circus. But inside that chaos, you've got these incredible layers of human behavior, absolutely brilliant engineering, and some pretty mind-bending physics, all happening at the exact same time. So, first things first, let's talk about the people. Because as soon as that cabin door closes, you're not just on a plane anymore. You're basically part of a social experiment. And the results? Well, they're always entertaining. Okay, you know this person, I guarantee it. The plane's wheels have barely even touched the tarmac, the engines are still winding down, and then, from somewhere in the cabin, a hero emerges. I mean, with the speed of a cheetah, they launch themselves into the aisle. And what's their mission? To stand there hunched over for the next 15 minutes, creating a human wall before the jet bridge has even started moving. In their head, they've won the race. To everyone else, well, we're all just silently judging. Meanwhile, a few rows away, a completely different drama is unfolding. This is where we meet the passenger who's just discovered the flight attendant call button, and they are fascinated by it. To them, this little button isn't for emergencies. Oh no, it's a game. Ding, can I get some water? Ding, is it a little cold in here? Ding, I think I need another pillow, even though they're already sitting in a literal fortress of them. You know, for the flight attendant, that little blue light is their villain origin story. And of course, we absolutely have to talk about the main event, the great battleground of the skies, the overhead bin. This isn't just a storage space, people. This is prime real estate, and the market is cutthroat. You'll see them, the person who has somehow managed to place their enormous bag sideways, taking up the space of like 3 normal-sized bags. It turns into this silent, intense shoving match, a bizarre puzzle of geometry and ego, as everyone else tries to jam their luggage into the last tiny sliver of space. Okay, so while all this human comedy is playing out, I want you to do something. Take a look around, because the plane itself, the very tube you're sitting in, is a masterpiece of hidden engineering. And this is where things get really, really cool. We're going to shift gears now, from the human chaos to the hidden order. We're talking about brilliant, life-saving design features that most of us never, ever notice. For example, you ever find yourself staring out the window and you see that tiny little hole at the bottom? It's easy to think it's just a flaw or a crack, but that tiny hole is actually one of the most important safety features on the entire airplane. It's called a pressure equalizing hole. See? At 35,000 feet, the pressure outside is incredibly low, while the cabin pressure is kept much higher. That little hole lets the pressure between the inner and outer window panes balance out, which keeps the outer window from shattering under all that stress. It's just a tiny piece of brilliant, life-saving engineering. Okay, here's another one for you. We've all heard about the black box, right? The thing that records all the flight data. But why on earth would you paint something that important a color that's notoriously hard to find? Well, here's the secret. They're not black at all. They're actually painted a super bright, vibrant orange or red. And the reason is just pure common sense. It's so they're as easy as possible for emergency crews to find in the wreckage of a crash. A simple choice of paint that can be the key to making sure flying gets even safer. So it's clear the plane is this amazing work of genius, just full of these hidden safety features. But all of this brings us to the biggest, most fundamental question of all. Forget the little details for a second. How does this whole thing, this massive metal machine, even get off the ground and stay up there? It really can feel like magic, can it? But it's not. It's actually this beautiful, elegant dance of pure physics. So let's quickly break down the science that's keeping you safe and sound at 35,000 feet. Look, every single flight boils down to a perfect balance between 4 forces. You've got weight, which is gravity pulling the plane down, and fighting against it is lift, pulling it up. Then you have the engines creating thrust, pushing it forward, while drag from the air holds it back. For a plane to fly, lift has to beat weight, and thrust has to beat drag. It's that simple and that incredibly complex. And where does that all-important lift come from? Well, it's mostly thanks to a guy named Bernoulli. His principle says that the faster air moves, the lower its pressure. So because of the wing's curved shape, air flows faster over the top than the bottom. That creates low pressure above the wing and high pressure below it, and that difference in pressure literally pushes the entire plane up into the sky. Now, we all know the air isn't always perfectly smooth, but next time you hit a patch of turbulence, just remember this. It might feel scary, but all it is rough air. Seriously, just think of it like driving over a few bumps on a road. These modern planes are incredible machines, and they are built to handle way, way more than a little bumpy air. So let's bring this all back down to earth. We've seen the human chaos inside the cabin, we've uncovered the hidden genius in the plane's design, and we've touched on the incredible physics that makes it all work. Really, when you think about it, what you're experiencing on a flight is all three of these layers at once. You've got the human comedy, starring the sprinters and the bin hogs. You're sitting inside a showcase of engineered genius, with things like tiny pressure holes and bright orange boxes. And underneath it all, you're part of a scientific miracle, a perfect, elegant balance of physical forces. So the next time you board a plane and you see all the boarding chaos unfold, I really hope you see it a little differently. You'll be able to see past the comedy of it all to the incredible invisible systems, both human and physical, that are working in perfect harmony to carry you safely across the sky. Which really just leaves us with one final question to chew on. What is a flight, really? Is it just a human zoo crammed into a pressurized can? Or is it a scientific miracle you can buy a ticket for? You know what? Maybe, just maybe, it's both.